We begin here in Nigeria, where the power grid has been shut down because of a nationwide strike by public sector workers. Flights from Lagos, Abuja and other airports have also been disrupted. The strike was called by the country's biggest labor unions, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress, after talks with the federal government over the national minimum wage broke down. Reports from Lagos say throughout much of the day, aviation workers blocked the main road to the airport, preventing travelers from reaching the airport, bringing activities there to a halt and leaving many passengers stranded. There's also a blackout across Nigeria, with workers in the power sector joining the strike, along with staff in the transport, health, aviation and government sectors. They are demanding a new minimum wage of 494,000 naira, the equivalent of about $343. The current national minimum wage is $21.
I appreciate the executives of the two unions, the national unions. They have been resilient, trying to engage government since last year, trying to let government know that May 31st is the end of the negotiation for the new minimum wage. Of course, all this while they have been meeting, trying to tell Nigerian government the demand of Nigerian workers. Not too much, very little. Please, increase, give us a living wage. The new government came in last year and the first thing they did was to increase the pump price of PMS. Of course, you know the inherent variables that will come with the increment of PMS. Price increase in food, virtually everything. Transportation, where I used to come before, I come with 200 naira, I will come with 800 naira. And Labour just said, pay the Nigerian workers 400 and something thousand. And government is coming with 60,000. We are not demanding for too much. The national body of the unions are not demanding for too much. All we ask is for you to pay us a living wage.
The workers, we are suffering. Everybody in Nigeria is suffering. And we want it to stop. That is why we are crying that they should please. Even for us to be here under this action, it bleeds our hearts. We are crying inwardly. We are not enjoying it. Because we believe that a child that is serving the parent should not cry for food before he or she being served.
Well, for more on where things stand, I'm joined now in the studio by Arise correspondent Punariman Benjamin, who covers the labour unions. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. What's the latest update about the impact of this strike? We're hearing there's been quite a lot of disruption.
Okay, so when we left early in the morning to look at the level of compliance in Nigeria's capital, went precisely to the Federal Secretariat, we noticed that everywhere was shut down. Buildings were locked. We saw a lot of workers stranded, standing outside. They couldn't gain access to the main building where they work. So at the end of the day, we saw some of the labor union leaders and we had a conversation with them. That's what you saw on TV earlier. And we asked them why they think this strike is important. And they told us that they have to keep up with the strike because government is refusing to meet their demands of 494,000 naira. And one of them told us that it's not because of the realities on ground. 35,000 naira can no longer sustain, the living standard for every Nigerian worker. And we realized that the national grid has also been shut down. And at about 2 a.m. this morning, people woke up to see that everywhere was dark. And we thought that it was just a normal way of taking power. But at the end of the day, we realized that the grid has been shut down. And there was a press release to that effect. And the airports as well. Our correspondent Mary Chinda went to the airport earlier, and she also was taken live during the show, Newsday earlier, and she said that what is happening is that travelers actually stranded. They are standing, no airline is moving, and you know that's another very big challenge for travelers today.
So, I mean, the point of this strike, as you said, is to force the hand of the government and to get them back to the negotiating table. Is that likely to work?
We also heard earlier, after we had gone out, that the SGF is also meeting
That's
with
the Secretary to the
government of the
Nigeria.
Federation is
Right.
meeting with labor leaders this afternoon. So I'm sure they are back on the table to negotiate and seek a way forward. Of course, we know that if the strike continues, it will cripple a lot of things, economically and otherwise. And of course, you know that Nigeria is already shaking in terms of the economy. So government wouldn't want this strike to continue. They will want, you know, to put a stop to this strike so that it doesn't go into a second day.
Well, let's push that further, because the unions, as you said, are demanding around 494,000 naira. The government says it can only afford about 1/9 of that. So a yawning gap between the two sides. I mean, what chance is there of a resolution? Because it's one thing to sit down to talk, but quite another to narrow the gap.
You know, government is offering 60,000 naira, which, according to Labour, it's not good enough, because they feel that the cost of living has really gone up, transportation has really gone up, especially after the removal of fuel subsidy. So the labor unions are saying, of course, it's negotiation. So you tell us what you can offer, and then we will tell you this is what we're asking for. I know that the labor unions would definitely bring down, you know, the amount that they are asking for government, but they are feeling that that 60,000 naira is way, way, way too low, because I remember...
Although it's almost 100% higher than what it was before.
Yes, of course it's 100%, but looking at the realities now, it's really going to be tough. The Minister of Information spoke yesterday. He also reiterated the same thing today, where he was saying that that the wage bill of 1.2 million workers, if government pays that 494,000 naira, that means at the end of the day, at the end of the year, government will be paying 9.5 trillion naira.
Yeah, which it just doesn't have.
Yes, which it doesn't
have. But what annoys people is the fact that the government seems to find money for a lot of other things, which are not, I mean, you know, going on pilgrimage, buying new cars, you know, renovating premises at billions of naira. And that, I guess, rubs the workers up the wrong way.
Of course, these are some of the reasons that is making the labor union leaders to stand on their grounds, to say, look, you can do this, you can afford it. If you can afford to pay so much for members in the National Assembly, if you can afford to pay for trips carrying over 100 and something delegates abroad, if you can do other things that may not be necessarily impacting on Nigerians, then you can as well increase this minimum wage to a level that Nigerian workers will be able to have a living.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for your coverage, and do keep us up to date on what is going on. Punariman Benjamin is a RISE correspondent who covers the labour union.